listen, the hits keep on coming. We've had Michael Lombardi on the show. We've had Adnan Verk on the show. We've had Joe Benigno on his show. Now we've got Gordon Deal. Gordon Deal is in the house. Gordon, wave to the people. Wave to the people. Wave to America.
Good to see you, U-Goboy.
Yes, this is episode 37, 38, who knows, of the U-Goboy Podcast. Coming at you, baby. Yahtzee.
Go, boy.
We do drops on this show, baby. Oh, man. It's your boy. It's your boy. You go, boy.
You go, boy.
Oh, man. Another installment, another episode, another chapter, whatever you want to call it, of the U-Goboy Podcast. Live from Bravery Studios in lovely Garfield, New Jersey. It's snowing outside, but it's warm and toasty inside, and we've got a treat for you. We're gonna get right to it. But before we start, of course, big shout out to Bravery Studios for holding your boy down, the home base. Big shout out to New York Posse. They hooked your boy up with some free merch on Yo BTV Sports. Speaking of Yo BTV Sports, Yo Bravery TV Sports. Every Saturday on the Bravery Network, live from Garfield, Bravery Studios as always, from 12 to 2. What else? And of course the fans and the subscribers. Round of applause for all the subscribers. We're at 153,000 subscribers. Bring those bombs in. Oh, man. And of course, so we got two channels. The U-Goboy Media channel, that's the first YouTube channel, and the other YouTube channel, U-Goboy 88, that's the music channel. So the music, go stream U-Goboy Music. So we got the music, we got the podcast, everything's blowing up. U-Goboy 88 on all digital platforms. So you guys have been great. Round of applause one more time. Thank you so much, fans, subscribers, for tuning in and helping your boy get to the promised land. We're getting there. So without further ado, on tonight's episode 37, he is the host of This Morning, America's first news show with Nicole Murray and Mike Gavin. He's also been syndicated in 300 radio stations across the country. He was a PA announcer for the New York Knicks from 2003 to 2005. He's been a PA announcer for the New York Giants from 2011 until the present, and he's also been a PA announcer for Army football at Mitchie Stadium in West Point, New York from 2013 to 2018. Give me a Chris Tucker. Is this what you want? Because this is what we all want. On episode 37 of the U-Goboy Podcast, we got Gordon Deal. He's in the building. Gordon, what's up, man? What's up, dog?
Nice to see you. Good to see you, man. It's been a long time.
Yes, long time since face to face. We talked over the phone a few times throughout quarantine, but we haven't had some face to face action in a minute, man. How you been, bro?
Good. Nice to see you, man. Looks like all's going well. I'm happy for you.
Thank you so much. And also before we get things kicked off, round of applause for this guy too, one more time, because a big turning point in my career is when I was able to come to his studio in South Brunswick to see his professional setup. I sent him some of my clips and reels of like the old startup stuff I was doing, like out of the house with the sheet in the back and the blank wall in the background. And he was like, "Listen, man, you got to get your setup. You got to come correct. You got to be professional." He cleaned up my resume, and he's a big reason why I ended up with the Harlem Wizards. He's a big reason why I ended up at Odyssey. He's a big reason why I ended up at Bravery Studios with this amazing show that just turned 1 back in June and has taken off like rocket fuel to the moon. So, Gordon, appreciate it. I've told you before, but I gotta tell you again, thank you so much, man. You changed my life, man. You really did.
Forever.
Happy to do it. So you gave me that nice setup and like this little history we have.
Yes.
And yet here I am on episode 37.
Yes.
I don't know if that's good or not. Like, does 37 mean like I don't rank that highly, or like 37's a really good number? Like I'm really up there. I don't know like what to make of episode 37.
37 means that. Well, listen, we're on the. So It's high. Your latest is your greatest. So the latest episode has to be the best episode. So you're up there. You're following the like I said, you're following the heels of Michael Lombardi and Adnan Verk and Joe Benigno and all those guys. But listen, you're kind of a big deal in these parts too. So just take that with a grain of salt. Give me another Ric Flair woo. We do drops on this show, Gordon. So if you have a drop, if you hear a drop, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Good.
All right, so let's kick things off, man. So Gordon, where did it all begin for you? Well, we mentioned your illustrious career. You're one of the biggest names in radio, one of the biggest names in sports media radio, not just in Jersey and the tri-state area, but in the country. Where did it all begin for you in your amazing story, in your iconic story? Because you're an icon. Round of applause one more time for this guy, Mr. Icon over here. You see the plaques in the background. They're not props. He's been doing it.
It's funny you ask, where did I begin? And sometimes I say to people, where did I begin what? Like, I got my full-time job, right, which is the syndicated morning news radio anchor position I have. I have 5 part-time jobs. Like, I have to stay busy because I get way too antsy if there's nothing to do. I coach high school soccer. Like you mentioned, I work for the Giants. I did the Army football announcing. I came back this past season and did it again this past season, kind of on a fill-in role. I do my local high school football because they asked, because that's where I coach soccer. I do individual soccer lessons, like I coach teams in the club season. So I guess from a radio standpoint, that began really in college. I attended Rutgers, graduated from Rutgers, and I thought in the mid-1980s, I have this promising soccer career. I'll be a professional soccer player one day. I don't have to worry about grades. I'll just get after it in college, and bam, my career will take off.
Yeah.
Well, if that hit a giant thud my freshman year, after posting a 1.2 GPA my first semester,
wow,
I decided maybe there are other things I need to consider here besides just playing soccer. So Rutgers has a student-run radio station. So I saw an ad in the daily student newspaper that said they were looking for help: sports, news, marketing, sales, editing, writing, the whole bit, being a DJ. So I showed up to a meeting and I thought, wow, I could still maintain a hold in sports by doing play-by-play. This would be really cool. And unfortunately, Rutgers pays for the radio station to go and broadcast games. So I got to see a number of different campuses and travel and work on play-by-play. So that's really kind of where it began. And then after graduation, I got into news, and sports kind of fell by the wayside mostly. And it just, kind of went from there, kind of weaved my way into New York, and then, ultimately syndicated, to make a long story short.
Oh, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. One more time. Dom DeMarco over here for the iconic Gordon Deal, the one and only. So I remember I came down to your studio a few years ago now. I'm thinking a few months ago, a few years ago. I think right before COVID.
Has to be. Yeah.
Has to be like 2020, probably early 2019 or late 2018. I came down to your studio in South Brunswick, and I saw your setup, and I watched pretty much like a full episode of you doing the This Morning, America's First News show with Nicole Murray and Mike Gavin. Walk us through the story of that show. It's an award. Round of applause. It's an award-winning show. In syndication, like I said, all throughout the country, in other countries as well, internationally. How did that show come to be, and how did it become the juggernaut that it is right now?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned internationally. There's he must be like a broadcast junkie from Norway. Emails me the other day. Can you confirm that your radio show is on this radio station in West Virginia? Like, he's picking me up like on some signal in Norway and just emailed me. I said, yeah, that's my show. Skol,
Down the Marco right there.
International stuff is wild. But this was a show that began, it was initially called the Wall Street Journal This Morning. So the Wall Street Journal had come up with this idea saying, let's create this radio program. I think largely to promote the print side of things, right? All the investigative reporting and features and stuff like that. So I became the host of that in 2005, and it was going swimmingly. News Corp came along and purchased Dow Jones, the publisher of the Wall Street Journal. So it changed the look of the Wall Street Journal. It wasn't so businessy anymore. It became general news, breaking news. So we changed the format of the show to be less business focused and became more breaking news, news analysis. We added some sports flavor in there, really like the consumer angle to Super Bowl's coming up. Here's how this city's preparing. Those types of angles. Always a feel-good story at the end of the hour, like a human interest story. The puppy got saved. The children were rescued from the bus, or something like that to finish the show. But in 2014, the Wall Street Journal said, we don't really know what to do with you folks in radio. So you're talented, but you're also fired. So at the end of 2014, it was the end of our time as the Wall Street Journal. But there was a company that was syndicating, or not syndicating, there's a company that was selling the ads on the program and sharing the revenue with the Wall Street Journal called Compass Media, who I work for now. Compass Media said, here's the deal. We'll take over and be the new syndicator. Why don't we just rent back the studios that you're already in, and we'll just change the name of the show. You fired everybody at Wall Street Journal, therefore you have no need for those studios. We'll rent them back from you. And so in a 1 day's notice, the switch was flipped. The show had a new name, January 1 of 2015, and been there ever since. So it's been 18 years now. It's been a good run.
Round of applause for that. Round of applause for that. Don Cannon for that. Dom DeMarco for that.
Cannon.
Oh man, going on 2 decades of again, not just a nationally.
It's crazy.
It has to be. I just got the news that Odyssey was filing for bankruptcy last week. I was talking to a good colleague, a good friend of mine, Rich Cook, who's over at Sinclair Media Group. I worked under him at the GM Shuffle with Michael Lombardi, and he dropped that on me like a ton of bricks. I was like, wow. To have that show running now, like I said, 2 decades. That's impressive. That's impressive and rare.
Rare. As you know from people who are in it, it's a tough business.
Yes.
Even the syndicators, listen, we compete with Odyssey. We partner with them in some cases, but that's you don't want to see the competitor struggle. Like, to a certain extent, you need them. Yes, you're competing for the same advertising dollars, but man, this is not good for the industry when we see that. It's like being a sports team. Like, I want to beat you at your best.
Yeah.
I don't want your starting quarterback to go down, and then we beat you 40-0.
Right.
I don't want to score 10 runs in the 9th inning because you have no bullpen.
Right. I
want to punch you in the mouth while we're standing toe to toe, and you got your best guy in the ring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's tough news to hear. Even though, it may benefit us to a certain extent, that, as an industry guy, it's not news we like to hear.
Yes. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's like with, WCW and WWE, you know what I mean? When you got these 2 superpowers with, Hogan and Sting and Goldberg, and over here, Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold. Yeah. When one goes out of business, there's, you buy up the competition, but then, okay, who are you competing against now? Yeah. And competition's healthy. So, it's good that AEW's around now and that competition's there now, but, competition's good. Competition is a good thing. I really believe that.
American way.
Yes, absolutely. So let's keep it going. You made a sports reference there. You are a New York Giant employee as well as a fan, I believe. Yeah. So we could talk some football here before we get back into your story and your spiel. So the Giants missed the playoffs this season after making the playoffs and winning a playoff game last year. Right. What direction do you guys head into now in the offseason? Because here's my deal. Because, again, I've got tons of friends who are Giants fans. I live in Jersey, grew up in Jersey, as you know. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so we're going through our own trauma right now, missing with another playoff disaster on our hands. But keep them coming. But considering that you guys are about to head into the draft, you've got a high draft pick. It looks like the organization is still behind Daniel Jones, that your owner is still behind him. I don't think you guys are going to take a quarterback in the first round. That's just my opinion. Are you Are you comfortable in the direction the team is heading in with Dable and Daniel Jones for another year, or do you feel like this thing is headed toward a divorce of sort with a new quarterback? Maybe not this year, but maybe next year in the future. What direction are your Giants headed into now, going into 2024?
So keep in mind, I'm not an in-depth sports analysis guy. I pay attention to football whenever the Giants have a home game and I'm doing prep work for that particular Sunday.
Right.
So, I'm not in the front office. I don't associate with the Giants the rest of the year. I get an email from the Giants in August. And they say, hey, you're back again this year, right? For the first preseason game? I said, yeah, if you want me. Like, I don't deal with the Giants other than 10 days a year.
Right.
2 preseason games and 8 regular season games, maybe 9, right? So that's it. So I come at you as a full-on news junkie, little sports on the side.
Yeah.
So I don't speak for the Giants in any capacity. I'm just their guy.
That is a great disclaimer. Round of applause for the disclaimer. Great disclaimer.
By the way, is drinking allowed on the show?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right, so I have an old fashioned. I just want to make sure that I stay hydrated with the head cold I have.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, as someone who works in media, that is completely accepted. For sure.
So the Giants. So the thing I love about the Giants is that there are standards. You as a Giants fan can understand this. Every year you see a path to the playoffs, and the expectations are playoffs and Super Bowl.
As a Dallas fan, yes. You would think.
Yeah, I'm saying like you in general, right?
Right.
As Giants fans.
Yeah.
So that's why I like working for this organization, because there are expectations. And when the expectations are not met, it sucks.
Yeah.
So we're not like other teams that just, hey, mate, like perhaps our neighbors in the building, like, hey, do you see a path to 5 wins this year? Yeah, I think we can get to 5. Like, that's not how the Giants think. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The Giants think there's a path. We have people. We have an excellent coach, a terrific general manager, and we're headed north.
Yeah.
And so I like working for an organization that has those standards. And guess what? I might have a great game. I get all the names right. I'm on top of every play. I read the emotional military moments, properly, and people are applauding, and maybe there's a tear in the crowd. I'm reading the game properly. But when the Giants lose, I suck.
Right.
And everybody sucks. So go home and be better next home game. That's how I feel. Like, wasn't good enough on everybody's part today. So if you ask me, like, what direction are the Giants going? I drink the Kool-Aid. We're going in the right direction. Yeah. I love Dable. I love Joe Shane. Dimes is our guy. So I love it all. I'm a big believer that, we've showed that promise. Could you point to 3 missed plays during the season?
Yeah.
In 3 different games that cost us the playoffs? Were injuries a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did everybody else have injuries? Yep. Did some teams overcome them better than we did? Yep. But I still like it. I like where they are.
Oh, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I won't bore you with Cowboy trauma. I'll save that for my other show, BTV Sports. This is about
listen, as a Giants employee, since we didn't make the playoffs,
right?
Last weekend's football results were spectacular.
Savage. Get those savages going, man.
And listen, my company, Compass Media, is absolutely in bed with the Dallas Cowboys.
Of course.
We broadcast their games separately from the Cowboys radio network. We broadcast their games nationally. So we're very close with the Cowboys. But if the Giants don't make the playoffs and the Cowboys lose and the Eagles lose in the opening round, love you, NFL. Love you, NFL.
That's a savage. Get those going.
And if that sounds a little sore sportish or a little sore loserish,
no.
okay. Guilty.
No,
Guilty.
no.
But that's how it is.
Oh no!
Listen,
Listen. I was tuned into the Monday Night Football game to make sure that the Eagles were headed to Cancun to the same resort as Dallas, New York. All is well. No, everyone's out, so I'm fine.
By the way, so you can relate to. So you one of your first questions was how'd you get started?
Yeah.
So I have the separate story of how'd you get started in public address announcing.
Okay, that's fine. Keep that. Shoot away.
I'm a student at Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broadcasting games.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in the sports information office comes to me and says, "Hey, could you be the stadium announcer for women's volleyball?" I'm like, let me get this straight. You want me as a 20-year-old single man to show up in that gym where these 6-foot like beauties are walking around in these like booty shorts or whatever you call them, like back in the day.
I guess spandex.
Bun huggers. The girls called them bun huggers. That was what the girls called them.
Dom DeMarco.
Bun huggers.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I love volleyball. Yes, always been a big volleyball fan. What time you need me? Tuesday at 7? I'll be there at 4:00, ready to set up and go. So that was like how that started. And then ultimately, I want to try out to be the backup guy for the Knicks, which I did for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then the Giants emailed out of nowhere, said, "Hey, we got your name from the front office at the NBA. We know what you did with the Knicks. Your reputation precedes you. We're looking to add a body. Are you up for a phone interview?"
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
I said, sure. How's tomorrow at 9? Great, tomorrow at 9. So Don Sperling is my boss at the Giants. He said, "This won't take long. I know what you can do. So I only have 2 questions for you for this job interview." I thought, oh, this is only going to be really dicey or it's going to be really easy.
Mm-hmm.
First question out of his mouth. Are you a Giants fan or a Jets fan? Now, I grew up a Jets fan because my dad used to take me to Old Shea Stadium when I was like 5, right? He had tickets through his sales company or whatever. And I'd stand there in the freezing cold in Shea Stadium and watch the Jets, collapse on every possible Sunday. So I said, well, listen, grew up a Jets fan, but I'm definitely a Giants guy because I like the guys on this team. This is back in 2011. I don't wish evil things. The Giants are good in my book. So he said, fine. Second question. Have you ever done any work for the Jets? Exhibition game or a fundraiser? I said, no. He said, believe it or not, that's a deal breaker. He's like, even if your reputation precedes you, not hiring anybody from the Jets. I thought, okay. Now I understand the rivalry. And he said, even though we're in the same building, we do different things. We don't see eye to eye on players, fans, personnel, those types of approaches. Yeah. So that's when I knew, okay, this is big time now. Big time now. I don't wear green ever. Not in public. Not on NFL Sunday.
That's a savage.
There's not a thing of green. I won't buy a green car. Nothing if I'm going to a.
He said a green car. Oh my God.
So, that was how that went.
I love it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. The rivalry is very real. And I explain to people, who aren't from, like I've got, since I went to Penn State, shout out to Penn State, as always. My friends would always ask, like, you're from Jersey. How are you a Giant fan? I mean, how are you a Cowboy fan? How come you're not a Giant or a Jet fan? I'm like, listen, you think that Jersey is strictly Giant and Jet country. It really isn't. It really, really isn't. Like you go further south toward Trenton, it's actually Eagle country. That's number one. And throughout North Jersey, Central Jersey, especially because of the 70s with Staubach and Dorsett, and especially me, growing up in the 90s and born in the late 80s, I grew up in when Dallas was actually good. I grew up with Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, the Jimmy Johnson era. Oh yeah. So we were good growing up, and there are a ton. I go to the Cowboy Giant game every year. I went to the opener this year. I'm sure you were on the call. I was there in the rain, and I watched every second of that 40-0 beating we gave the Giants, and it was a ton of Dallas Cowboy fans. We took over the stadium. It was about 60-40, 65-35 Dallas fans. I'm not even exaggerating. So but the rivalry is very real. Giant fans and Jet fans, that thing's real, but of course everybody hates Dallas, so we get the brunt of it as well. So it is what it is. So
so your point's an interesting one. So recalling that nothing beatdown on opening day,
Yes.
home opener.
In prime time.
2 weeks later, the Seattle Seahawks come in and kick the Giants in the teeth 24-3.
Yep.
So in the 2 home games that the Giants have had to start 2023,
Savage. Get the Savages going.
they have lost 64-3 combined. And we thought,
Savage.
what has happened here? This was a team that won a playoff road game last year. What has happened? So, oh man, it was concerning, obviously, and now we're starting to look at the schedule.
Yeah.
How are we gonna get to 8? How are we gonna get to 8? And maybe back our way in. Oh boy. Yeah,
the draft is on its way. I'm already in draft mode. I was listening to a draft show on the drive here on the Cowboy Network. That's all they have now is the draft show to get things going. So it is what it is. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. I forgot to mention, grab the merch. U-Goboy merch. Link below. Gordon, definitely next time I see you, I'll have a t-shirt or a hat ready waiting for you to rock on the show. It's all about the merch. And shout out to Dan DiCarlo as always. Alex, my graphic designer. Eddie Heartthrob, he helped out with the logo. The merch is flying off the shelves as always. So again, round of applause. And Teesprings as well. Round of applause to Teesprings. And Jeff Bezos, Amazon, they came through for the hat too. And promo advertising t-shirts as well in Union, New Jersey. They also helped out with this hat. So grab that merch. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah, go for it.
While we're talking football.
Yes.
And I ask questions for a living, so I got to interject.
I'm ready for it. I came ready
even though I'm on episode 37.
Yes.
I feel the need to ask this as a Cowboys fan. Are you surprised Mike McCarthy is still your coach?
Yes and no. And I'll preface it that way. Yes, in the sense that I've seen Jerry change his mind. He had no intention of firing, of letting Jason Garrett walk. He had no intention really of firing Wade Phillips, because they went 13-3 his first full season as a coach. And when they quit, funny enough, when they quit against the Packers on Sunday Night Football, he fired him the very next night on a Monday. I remember because I was still in college. And with Jason Garrett, when they missed the playoffs by a game, they finished 8-8, just like he started his career. He changed his mind and changed course too, and let his contract run out and let him walk out the door as well. So I felt Jerry, after watching that performance, was going to change his mind and go for Bill Belichick. I really believe that because him and Bill have a great relationship. They meet at the players at the owners' meetings every single winter, or summer or spring, whenever it is, and they've had a great rapport for years now. And Bill Belichick actually wanted the job right around the time Jerry gave it to Jimmy Johnson back in the day. I found that out recently through a couple of interviews. So I thought he was going to change course, considering that Mike McCarthy has had such a great regular season, but he's played the worst game of the season in the playoffs 3 years in a row. And to me, that was damning. To me, I felt like that's a bad trend, and I was not shocked if he would have moved on from him there. Here's the other side of the coin of why I see why he brought him back. Because I think they had the way Patrick Walker, who works for the Cowboy website, the way he broke it down was they met in the middle. They were like, listen, you've been good enough to keep your job, but you haven't been good enough to get an extension. So we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do a thing. We're going to let you ride out this last year. We're going to continue to give you what you want in terms of personnel, in terms of coaching. We're going to continue to give you everything you asked for in terms of the infrastructure to win in your eyes. We're going to give you all that. And if by the end of next season, since you have no year after this final year of your contract, if we end in the wild card round or in the divisional round yet again, now we're gonna give you the same treatment as Jason Garrett. We're gonna let you walk because you have not shown us that you can take us to the next step, to the next level, and elevate the team. So he's a lame duck. That was the resolution, and I understand it. I really do. I understand it, and we'll be talking a year from now, same bat time, same bat channel. Probably who's the next coach of the Cowboys? Because as of right now, I don't see a path for them to make it to the Super Bowl. I could be wrong, but I don't really see. I'm indifferent. I'm just like, all right, here we go again.
I love the psychology of it all. I'm a big believer in the psychology, especially because I coach high school kids, right? I'm always looking for the buttons to push. And so I'm thinking about which organization, leaving the Giants out of the conversation right now, which organization, Cowboys or Eagles, is feeling the sting right now?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know. Somebody said, was it on a broadcast? Where did I hear it? Somebody significant said the Eagles have quit on Nick Sirianni.
Oh yeah, 100%. Dom DeMarco, 100%, 100%, 100. And
I think that was when they had lost 4 of 5.
Yeah,
not 6 of 7.
Yeah,
but that was such a damning statement, and I thought, man, that's an unbelievable statement. And I don't watch the Eagles enough to know if that's the case. I don't know them. Like, I know them when they show up to the Giants game and play the Giants at MetLife Stadium.
Yes.
I know all the numbers and names. But other than that, I don't know how they interact. I don't know, and I don't care what the relationship is like. But to me, that is fascinating. If you quit on your guy as a professional athlete, there couldn't be a greater insult. You could tell me I suck.
Yeah.
You could tell me I'm the worst radio news anchor, and overpaid and overhyped and all that stuff. And I could say, okay, I got stuff to work on.
Yeah.
But if you told me that I quit,
right.
Oh,
there's no coming back. There's no coming back from that.
Oh,
there isn't. And I know
how do I shake that reputation?
You can't.
Right?
You can't.
Man.
That is the point of no return. And I've seen that before. The Cowboys quit on Wade Phillips. That's why he was fired midseason, which Dallas never does. They literally quit on him on Sunday Night Football, ironically enough, at Lambeau Field against the Packers. Something about the Packers. Like, they quit on him, and the very next day he was fired. They quit on Nick Sirianni. Like, I'll talk about this more on Yo BTV Sports on Saturday with my guy Jason Enrique, but they quit on him, Gordon. You hit the nail on the head, and I'm a troll, so I watch some Philadelphia post game shows and some of their beat writers to see what they talk about, and they made an in-season coaching change that they never recovered from when they switched coordinators that nobody really knows about again unless they changed defensive coordinators, and it fractured the locker room right there. And on top of that, a bunch of their players are not sold on Jalen Hurts. A bunch of their players are not sold on him.
Really?
So they got that going on too. So a lot of it's always sunny in Philadelphia is a beautiful understatement. So we'll leave it at that. Give me a savage there. So yeah. so like the video, subscribe to the channel. We still got a ton of time and a lot. We have to hit this topic here. 2 big topics. So in terms of radio and podcasts, let's just take those two sports, so those 2 forms of media, and crystallize them real quick. I feel like, and a lot of people feel like, all podcasts is just modern day radio. That's all it is. You know what I mean? What radio was in the 40s and 50s and 60s, that's what podcasts are now. Do you feel like that media in that sense, in sports media and news radio as a newsman, do you feel like it is evolved? Radio has evolved into podcasts, or do you feel like podcasts are just wiping out and kind of radio is the dinosaur, the dino era, and the dodo bird? It's just going by the way of the wayside, and it's just replacing radio. Like, do you look at it as an evolution or an extinction? Like, how do you view the 2 forms of media?
It's a good question. Obviously, radio's been around forever, and the forecasting of the end of radio has been around forever. TV came along, almost the end of radio. The numbers show, at least from an advertising perspective, advertisers love radio. The listeners are so loyal. The engagement is there. We're company on long road trips, which TV does not provide. With podcasting, here's a different way to think about it. Anybody can be a podcaster.
Yes.
Anybody. Even if it's garbage, you can be a podcaster.
Dom DeMarco.
Not everybody can be on the radio.
Facts.
Everybody can be on the radio.
Facts.
The trick is with podcasting, can you sell it? Or get subscribers, right? So if you're good at that, you got something going on. So there's that level of podcaster, and then there's the kid in his basement who just wants to talk about, the Utah Jazz. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's that group. And listen, there are millions of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But as you know, it's a heavy lift.
Facts.
It's a heavy lift, right? To have good production, and content's king. People go to podcasts or video or blogs or whatever because of the content or the character, right? We watch TV shows for the characters. We listen to radio programs because we trust somebody. It's the same thing with podcasts. If you've got the good content, people will come. And if you've got the good content, people are coming, listening, subscribing, downloading, liking, sharing. Then there will be some ad revenue. But until then, there's going to be that delineation between podcasters who are making it, making a little money, and everybody else is just like, you know what? I feel like ranting today.
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, I see so 1 hour of my radio show is turned into a podcast, and we sell it. So we sell advertising on the terrestrial radio program, and through magic, we take 1 hour of the radio show and sell new advertising in the podcast. So obviously there are just different ways you can tackle it. But podcasting to me is supplemental. Now I get, there's a woman who teaches a business course at a university in Brazil. She emails me or hits me up on Facebook. Hey, love the show today. I want to bring this up in my class. Can you send me a link to where you found that story? So I love the podcast outreach for that, because I get the international reach, which I love. I mentioned the guy from Norway earlier. It wasn't a podcast, but he happened to be listening on his whatever tech he has in his basement of his home, listening to U.S. radio. So I think there's a big difference. So you can compare radio and podcasting, but there's radio, there's podcasters who can sell it, and then there's just podcasters who do it for fun. So it's all complementary. In the end, we're competing for the same dollars in some cases not. I think generally, depending on the podcast, you can be on there as a marketer for less money than a traditional radio program, whether you're syndicated like I am or whether you're local. So there's a lot of different ways to think about it, but we're all competing for ad dollars ultimately in the end. And like we said at the top of the show, we love competition. It makes everybody better.
Yes. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, we're here with Gordon Deal. This is such a big deal. Is it such? Oh, see what I did there? Big deal.
Oh, I've never heard that before, U-Goboy.
Oh my goodness.
U-Goboy.
It's funny. It's funny. Can I get a Yahtzee? Give me some Yahtzees, man, for sure.
Yahtzee.
It's funny you mentioned about the look of what a podcast is supposed to have. Adnan and Verk broke it down perfectly in terms of production quality, content, and again, the look and the feel of what a show is supposed to have. And I keep going back to I loved every second of it, and I'm glad that you were very unapologetic. You were very straightforward. You did not pull any punches. You tore to shreds what my setup was looking like when I was trying to shoot content out of my bedroom and post on YouTube. I think I was going for the ESPN First Take contest. They was like, yo, submit your clips to First Take and try to get on the show with Stephen A. Smith. So I remember I must have posted 20 or 25 different clips, and I sent you a few of them, and you tore it to shreds. You were like, listen, if you're going to do this, he's like, and I feel like you really want to do this. It's got to have the professional look. If it doesn't have the look, you could be the smartest guy in the world. Nobody's going to give a damn. Nobody's going to care. It's got to have the look. And I made sure when I linked up with this guy over here who you can't see on camera, Marv Perdomo at Bravery Studios, that my show had the look. And I think I nailed it. I think I did.
So you bring the visualness to it, right?
Yes.
As part of this. So there's an argument to be made too that when I look at you and I see your setup, you're not going wild with all kinds of crazy things in the background that are distracting. Yeah. There can be an argument to be made that, maybe this host doesn't know what he's talking about, so he creates these other distractions that just look good. He's trying to, trophies on the wall or books he may have read, to try to show that he's smart or something like that. But ultimately, as we said before, it's just content. It's just content. You can have bells, whistles, all that other stuff, but what comes out of your mouth matters the most.
Agreed.
Or how you engage with people matters the most. Do they trust you? Do they quote you? When they hit the pause button or when the episode is over. Those things matter, man. Content is king. Content is king. Whether you like a radio show host or not. The ones who are the most successful or get quoted by other people. You know what I heard on the radio today? same thing in your position.
Yeah.
Oh, I was listening to this podcast, even if they don't remember it. I was listening to this podcast. I forget what the guy said, but like, if I care enough, like I'll go back and research it and find out who that was. So I might listen to it too. But the thing that stood out when you first reach out, and I forget how we were connected, but
Dude, Mark Hoyt hooked us up.
Oh, geez, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, soccer friend of mine.
Yeah.
So there's a difference, and I talk to any student who reaches out. If they make that effort, I'm pretty sure that they're interested. So when he put us together, when I spoke to you, like I knew, I'm like, he cares. Look at the effort he's made already. I might not think it's professional, and I was just giving you my opinion, but I knew that you cared. There are others who I talk to, or like somebody just says, hey, I know the stadium announcer for the New York Giants. Why don't you talk to him? And I always say, sure. Who is it? Tell him to text me. I'll set up a chat. And I know in the first 30 seconds, like, whether or not this is somebody who's serious or whatever. But the enthusiasm you had, even if I didn't approve of the way you were going about it, I just knew that like this guy's not going away. He's like a dog clinging onto my pant leg, like he won't let go. But I like that. And that's somebody you'll do it too if you haven't already. Like you recognize that. Like I got to support the guy's effort. I mean, he's all in.
Yeah, appreciate that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Absolutely. I think that again, my biggest advice, because you're spot on in that. I was asked to do a podcast about 2 weeks ago from a friend of mine who I graduated St. Benedict's Prep with years ago, and he asked me straight up about long form content versus short form content, and I was explaining to him in detail with like veracity. I'm like, if your short term content if you're not putting energy and resources and you're not using AI, if you're not up to the times with the different software and editing tools, if you're not pouring energy into making sure your short-term stuff isn't good, there's no point of even doing a podcast right now in 2024. Like you think you're going to just drop a 2-hour podcast on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever and just think, I'm good, it'll blow up tomorrow. For sure. Like I was in Best Buy buying equipment for the Harlem Wizards. I was buying a laptop. The guy who I was buying the laptop from, the Best Buy employee, was like, you look real familiar, man. Do you do a podcast or whatever? Wow. And then I pulled up my TikTok, and he's like, I've seen your stuff, man. Oh man, because he himself was trying to get into the media or whatever. And he's like, yeah, man, like I want to follow you. Like, yo, let's exchange ideas and whatnot. A Best Buy guy. Like, I didn't know this guy from a can of paint, but that shows me that number one, the algorithm, it's like Zoran in freaking Power Rangers, the Oracle in Matrix is like, yo, the algorithm is like, I recognize you. My good man, continue your ways. Or Gandalf in freaking Lord of the Rings. Who knows? So, but yeah. So absolutely to your point, it's growth. It's growth. That's all it is. And again, you're a big part of it. Big part of the story. So we've got about 15, 20 minutes left. We got to hit this topic first, and then we're going to get to rapid fire on the spot. Give me some Dom DeMarcos there. That's going to be fun too to end the show. But right here, we got to ask this question here. For aspiring journalists and aspiring content creators, and I'm sure you still continue. I was in that boat one day. What is the biggest pitfall you see with aspiring content creators, aspiring radio and or sports media personalities, kids who are thinking about going to school for it, that love ESPN, love Fox Sports, love Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, the whole lot of them? What is the pitfall you see that they run into when they're going for it now, and what is some advice you would give them to steer them away from the pitfalls of going for the content creation dream, so to speak?
You just referenced like 6 guys, by the way, who all made fun of Dan Campbell's welcome introduction.
Yes, they did. Yes,
with the Detroit Lions,
yes, they did. Yes, they did. How'd that work out?
Right. So a little bit to that point, to me, it's about your attitude and your approach. So I'm coming out of Rutgers, late 80s. I show up at the Fan in New York, all sports radio station.
Oh man, Dom
right?
DeMarco, the Fan. You're taking it back. Shout out to Joe Benigno. He'd love this story.
Listen, this is pre Joe Benigno. This is late '80s, I guess, and I'm in there for an internship. Of course, there was no internet back then, right? It was handwritten letter, phone calls. Can I come in? Blah blah blah. And they said, "Why do you want to be in radio?" I think I was just looking for an internship at the time or some way to gain experience. And I said, I love radio. I've done play-by-play at Rutgers. I love the medium. It's so immediate. It's breaking with play-by-play. Like everything is a breaking news. Every snap, every fumble, every miscatch, everything is breaking news. Technically. I said, I love all that, and I forget who I met with, and I know who it is. I know the person. I just can't remember which of the two people it was I was sitting with at the time, because we've crossed paths. And since then, it's been great because I've sort of made it in the radio industry at this point.
Quote unquote,
whoever that was,
I guess.
Whoever that was said, go be a lawyer.
Savage.
So, okay. Go be a lawyer, huh? Guess what? I'm not going to law school. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to dust off, and I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out, and it's not by going to law school. So I think there was maybe there's still like competitiveness in me that thought, you don't tell me to go to law school. I'm going to be in radio, and I'm going to figure it out. So I think for the young journalists, don't take no from somebody who's not authorized to say yes, or you don't think is at some point going to be able to tell you yes. And these days it's so much about your digital footprint. So if you're a student, if you're in college, are you on the college newspaper's website? If I search your name, are you going to come up? How is it going to come up? You have to think about those things too. So let's say, and I give this example when I lecture in class sometimes. So great, you got a digital footprint, but what's it look like? Is it bylines of all the stories you've written? Is it intelligent videos that you've put together? Is it your smart LinkedIn profile, or is it your Instagram that comes up? Is it your Instagram that comes up with you like with a shot glass in one hand and a red Solo cup in the other hand at a tailgate from your freshman year when you were underage, and you posted that? So listen, we all did it. I did it.
Oh, Lord knows I did it.
I didn't have the ability to post it online back then.
True.
So my thing is, okay, you did it, but show your intelligence that photo needs to come down at this point, because it demonstrates that you understand social media, and that I can connect it to by saying, you're a rule breaker, or you don't follow the rules, or you don't care that somebody can see that you're an underage drinker. So I say, clean up that social media stuff that might give an employer the ammunition to shoot you in the foot and say, you're not our guy. Like you can post it. It's fine. You can post all you want. You can post stupid stuff all you want. But what I'm saying is, why give a potential hiring manager an opportunity to say no to you?
Yeah.
Clean the stuff up. Your digital profile, when you get Googled, should be clean, should be professional at a certain age, obviously.
Yes.
When you're looking for real work.
Just
be dedicated. I mean, attitude matters. Are you a I can't do that, or yeah, I'll give it a shot? Or are you that person? That's the difference, I think.
Oh yeah. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll never forget when you got my resume, the first question you asked me a couple days later when you got it back is like, why the hell is your high school stuff on here? Like, who cares about that? Like, are you like, if I was an employer, as soon as I see that, I'm automatically tossing that. You pulled no punches. I loved it though. I loved it. I'm not making it up. I have Nigerian immigrant parents who were basically two Bill Belichicks at home growing up. Like they were unapologetically, they were firm, and they want me to be at my best. And 98% is not good enough. Where's the other 2%? You know what I mean? So that's the type of of guidance that I thrive in, and this show would not be here. Round of applause one more time for the man behind the glass as always, Perdomo. Marvelous on the boards. This show wouldn't be here if I didn't have that tough love, that honesty to cultivate this thing. So we got about 10 minutes left. We're gonna get this in before we wrap for good. This is what we like to call. It's about that time. Can I get a Chris Tucker? Can I get a Chris Tucker? It's about that time. And another one. And another one. And one more. Yes. This is what I want. And I know this is what Gordon wants. This is another episode of Rapid Fire on the Spot. This episode of Rapid Fire on the Spot is brought to you by New York Posse. You know what I mean? Grab yourself some New York Posse gear at American Dream Mall. Things Galore at Etsy. It's my brother's AI arts company. Grab yourself some AI art. U-Goboy merch, of course. Grab yourself some official U-Goboy merch. Link below. Yo BTV Sports. Every Saturday at noon here at Bravery Studios. And of course, the brand new podcast that just came out with my two sisters, Bravely Fit. Bravely Fit. New fitness podcast. Got a lot of mommy power, mommy energy there with workout, health, wellness. Health is wealth, baby. Gordon works out like a madman, just like I work out like a madman. So health is wealth. Keep that. So this is rapid fire on the spot. So the first, we'll break it in half because I love to break it in half. The first half, Gordon will be a back and forth. So I'll ask you a question, you ask me a question. And then the second half, I've got some really good questions that I've tailored, sort of like Inside the Actor's Studio with James Lipton, rest in peace, in your world of sports media. So are you ready?
Okay, yep.
All right, cool. So my first question to you is, what is your favorite word?
Favorite word? A single word?
Yes, a single word. You use all of them. You're in radio.
Oh my goodness! Favorite word? I guess. How about family? I'll go with family.
Oh, nice. We are family. I love it. Okay, so your question for me. You got a question for me?
The question for you is it would be much more targeted.
Okay.
Biggest on-air mistake you've made?
Oh man. And
then I'll share one of mine if you would like.
Okay. Oh, a lot of them, man. Oh boy.
You don't have to walk anything back because you were factually wrong, not because you were overwhelmed by people who took a different opinion. I mean, you ever get something factually wrong?
I don't think I've made that error. I know, because I went back and watched the episode recently. When I had Joe Benigno on the show, I was annoying the hell out of him with the drops. Like, I saw it in his face, too. He was ready to punch the camera. Oh, he was at home, so he would have been punching his own laptop. He was ready to walk out a few times. He was very annoyed by that. So I feel like me and the team, Marvin included, it's not Marv's fault because I asked for him. I think we all went a little bit too much with the drops. And plus, Joe's old school. He kind of wants to get right to it and get and eat dinner and go to bed. So I feel like we went a little too overboard with the drops, and I've been mindful of that moving forward with guests. So I think that's for me. So how about you?
So that, first of all, that's a sissy one compared to the one I'm going to give you.
Savage.
That's nothing.
Savage.
So I get the job with the New York Knicks. I'm the backup public address announcer for the New York Knicks. I'm in the world's most famous arena,
Madison Square Garden, MSG. Yes, sir.
Sacramento Kings are in town to play the Knicks. So the format pregame is I announce the visitors, deadpan, right? No energy level for them, flat line. Then the lights go down, lights go up. It's Knicks, Stephon Marbury, right? I do like that. So I'm going through the Kings lineup. Do you remember Corey Maggette?
Yes, I do.
Played at Duke.
Played at Duke. Right? Yep. All-American. Yep.
In town. So there was a guy who worked for me in radio in traffic in New York. Legendary traffic guy named Chris Maggette. All right. Was like on all the major stations. Has the same spelling as Corey Maggette. So not having done my homework, I get to Maggette's name, and listen, nobody in the building knew. Hardly anybody knew or cared. It was the Knicks home arena. Yeah. And I'm like, make up a number. I forget what number it is. Number 22, Corey Maggette. And the head coach of the Kings is, blah, 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 blah. But then like the lights go down. Hardly anybody noticed, right? They're 3 deep into a beer, pregame, whatever. And I go through the Knicks, and then the lights come up and it's time for tip off. Maggette comes over to the scorer's table and like right by my microphone and taps the scorer's table twice and leans in real close. He goes, "It's Maggette." I was like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." And like by that time he was already on the court, like getting ready for tip off. But that was like, I don't know that everybody necessarily knew it or cared. And it wasn't the home team guy that I did it to.
Yeah.
But I made a bad mistake as a public address announcer. And since then, I practice those names.
Oh,
I make no assumptions about people's names when I'm about to crack the mic.
Oh,
so
I'm spot on there because for the world famous Harlem Wizards, I do their play-by-play. And it's in writing when we ask the host to give us the rosters before the game. We need phonetic spelling for these names, and if we don't have the phonetic spelling, somebody on game day better give us some phonetic spelling because the last thing you want to do is two things. You either you don't want to mispronounce a name terribly and be embarrassed, and you definitely don't want to announce somebody that's not there. So we need somebody to do attendance before the games as well because that dead space. We're not doing rehearsals. We're live. We're in 4K. So live entertainment for those who don't do it. It's nerve wracking and you only get one shot at it. So we got time for a few more. We'll do one more back and forth, and then I'll bring it home with the direct. So, what is announcer voice? You have it. I have it. What is announcer? Can you describe what announcer voice is in one or two or three words?
No such thing. Announcer voice is the difference between you and I are in a restaurant, and it's a cavernous building with lots of other sounds going on, and I'm shouting at you because you can't hear me, versus you and I are in an elevator having a conversation, versus I'm in a soundproof booth by myself. I don't speak any differently at any time. I don't hit some button. I don't take pills to give me some announcer voice. No such thing. No such thing.
No such thing in 3 words. Dom DeMarco there. Dom DeMarco. All right, Gordon, you ask me one more question, and then I'll bring it home with the rest of the last ones.
So again, like a deeper probe here. Give me U-Goboy in 5 years. What's it look like?
Oh man!
Or what do you wish it looks like?
In 5 years, I want to launch. It's already been launched. U-Goboy Media, and that would be basically a family of shows. Of sketch comedy, online comedy, hopefully movies, the ability to write scripts, to be basically you see Kevin Hart, you see Donald Glover, you see Stephen A. Smith, you see Shannon Sharp, the empires that they've built or building or whatnot. I want U-Goboy Media to be or Barstool Sports be the very same thing. And I feel like in conjunction with, of course, Bravery Studios, of course, we're already doing that. And 5 years from now, it's going to get ridiculous. And I'm here for it. That's what I signed up for.
That's cool. That's cool.
For sure. All right, so I'll bring it home with these last 3, and then we'll wrap for real. So Goodfellas or Casino?
All right, so I'm not really a movie guy, but I did see Goodfellas. The lineup of characters in there, so good for me. I'm Goodfellas only because I can't recall Casino enough.
Okay.
And my recall is absolutely shameful.
I like it. Favorite snack?
Doritos.
Doesn't matter the flavor? Specific flavor?
Doesn't matter the flavor.
just the bag. Gotcha. Celebrity crush growing up?
Oh man, celebrity crush growing up. You want me to date myself? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point.
Listen, all timers for me. Farrah Fawcett.
Ooh.
But always in the conversation, Christy Brinkley.
Okay.
All timers for me.
I like it. I love it. And two more. Best piece of advice you ever received?
The best piece of advice I ever received was the advice I didn't take, and I referenced it earlier when somebody said, "Go be a lawyer."
Nice.
Tom DeMarco. It was the best piece of advice because of the way I used it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Worst piece of advice you ever received?
Ooh. Oh, that's good. Worst piece of advice. Well, I'm not sure I can come up with a good answer. I think I might be the type of person that would dismiss that and toss it out of the memory bank. I don't know that I've ever been asked that, and I'm not sure that I can come up with an answer for that. That's a good question. I can't come up with an answer for that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I know you have an answer for this one. This is the last question. What is one job you think you would be good at if you weren't in radio?
Teaching.
Those who don't know, teach.
Teaching.
I love it.
I think if I were dismissed from radio and couldn't find another gig, I'd love to be in a classroom with kids, man. I think that's why I coach. Being around the kids, that energy, to me is electric. I get up at 2:30 in the morning for work. In the fall, I put my day on pause at 2:30 after 12 hours of radio work. I go coach for 2 hours. If there's a varsity game, I got 2 or 3 more hours of work. There are nights in the fall where I get 3 hours of sleep, and I don't care. I love being out there with the kids. I love the high school energy vibe. So I think I would transition and be in the classroom while being able to coach too.
Oh yeah, go yeah. Round of applause. Round of applause. That was rapid fire on the spots. Yeah, Dom DeMarco. Yeah, Yahtzee. And another Dom DeMarco. I love it. I love it. So we'll wrap with the end credits here. So Gordon, round of applause for our guest one more time, Gordon Deal. So Gordon, where can people find you?
On social media, mostly by at Gordon Deal. Whether it's Twitter's the most fun, I think, for me, just because Facebook, my wife and I share 3/4 of our friends, I guess. But Twitter's where I get like the interaction with the strangers who listen to the show. So I love it for that. I don't pay as much attention to Instagram, but at Gordon Deal would be the easiest way. GordonDealRadio.com. Those would be the easiest ones.
Yes, and of course they can check you out on this morning, America's First News, every 5 days a week. Are you on weekends too, or are you just 5 days a week?
We record a weekend show ahead of time, yes. So 5 days a week plus a weekend show to several hundred other stations that also take that.
Of course, kind of a big deal, and you know the deal. As always, U-Goboy88 on all channels. That's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, u-goboy.com. Remember, 2 channels, U-Goboy88 for the music, U-Goboy Media for the podcast, and of course, go stream U-Goboy Music, Jonah the Great, Juice vs. Sauce, 5-Star Dancer, Bruce Wayne Money, Whole Vibe, Tippin', Ezzo Cool, all the time. And of course, I got a new song on the way, Run It Up. That'll be dropping within the next few months or whatnot. Of course, Captain Planet, that's out now. That just hit 104,000 views on YouTube. So go stream the music as always. Shout out to the Bass Podcast. One more time, round of applause for this guy right here. Can I get that Ric Flair? Whether you like it or not? I need it, Marv.
Don't do that.
It's
Whether
coming.
you like it or don't like it, learn to love it because it is the best thing going today.
Those are the belts. See ya. Yahtzee.
I don't care about the top 10, the top 5, or who the best is. Money straight, my fam straight. I'm George straight, that's Texas. Angel wings on a Lambo. Praise the Lord, that's a blessing. Bentley truck like Lex Luger. Yeah, nigga, I'm flexing. I'm Richard Sherman, I back it up. And your mama, I stack it up. Hey, Poppy, yo, Gotti. Swear to God, I rack it up. Still Jersey, that's all day. You go, boy.
Yahtzee.